Hello there and welcome to the channel. I hope you had a great Christmas and a happy new year. In this video I'm going to be talking really towards people who are maybe just starting out on their photography journey or at a sort of intermediate level. I'm just going to try and introduce some ideas around good practice which will help you to progress your photography in the coming year. Today I have shrugged off my winter blues today. As you can see, it's a beautiful day and I've come down to Essex, to a location I've been looking to come down to for ages. It's at Osea, which is down in Essex, and we've obviously got some of these fantastic beach huts behind me, and I'm coming down to take some new pictures for the new year. Happy New Year to everybody. This video is for anybody who got a camera at Christmas or has got a camera and it's sitting in the cupboard and you're thinking about how can I improve. So it's really for beginners and intermediates, and it's a list of 6 or 7 things which I find really helps when I'm thinking about making photographs, going out, doing photography, and really helps me to try and improve the number of pictures that I think are okay. And they're really just, if you can get used to doing them, they really help you each day when you go out with your camera. And the first thing is you've really got to learn what your camera can do. When you first get a camera, it can be a little bit daunting and you don't really quite know how it works. And I think the first thing that you need to think about is what we call the exposure triangle, which is how fast your shutter clicks, how much light is let into the camera, essentially. The size of the aperture, which also lets in more or less light depending on whether it's a wide shutter, a wide aperture or a narrow aperture, and the sensitivity of the sensor, which is called the ISO. So if you don't do anything else, try and work out how to set your ISO, how to set your shutter, and how to set your aperture. All have different impacts on what happens to your pictures. If you have a very high ISO, what tends to happen is the higher your ISO goes, the more noise you introduce into the picture. The next thing is creativity, and your aperture is really good for being able to use how much of the picture is in focus, which can be really creatively useful. If you're trying to get a picture where you have just your subject in very sharp focus and everything else out of focus, as you've seen, particularly for portrait work, you want a very wide aperture, which equates with a very low aperture number, 1.2, 1.4, 2. If you're looking to get everything really sharp, which we tend to do for landscape photography, you want a higher F number, somewhere around 8 or 11 or 16. In terms of shutter speed, that really is most important if you're taking pictures of people, and my rule of thumb is if you're taking pictures of people, you want a minimum shutter speed of 1/250th of a second. If you're taking water and you want to capture it as a wave crashes, you want a very, very high shutter speed, 1/1000th of a second, 1/2000th of a second. But if you're looking to smooth out water, to smooth out things, you want a slower shutter speed. So today I'm taking pictures of these beach huts and I'm trying to smooth out the water, so I'm going to use a long shutter speed. So the next thing is around preparation. Before you go out to make any photography, to do any photography, it really pays dividends if you A, charge your batteries, B, remember to pack your filters if you've got any filters, your tripod, the right sort of lenses for what you're shooting. So if you're going to do some portraits, maybe you've got a prime lens, maybe a 50mm, maybe a 85mm portrait lens, remember to bring that. If you're going to go and do landscape photography, you're trying to probably cover from fairly wide angled lens up to a zoom or a super zoom. The second thing that you really should focus on your settings with your camera, because what I have found is if I get to a location and I don't check my ISO, my shutter, my aperture, my white balance, invariably I'm shooting on the settings from a previous time I used the camera, and maybe they're all wrong, and you potentially lose opportunities to get good pictures. So when you first get to a location, check your aperture, check your ISO, check your shutter speed, and think about the location and what you're trying to get out of it. And I knew here I was trying to use long exposure, so I'm thinking about, have I got my neutral density filters, have I got my tripod with me, have I got everything that I need to be able to do my shoot. And it's really simple. You really need, before you go out, is to clean your lenses, to make sure that they're nice and sharp, because you can't change those afterwards. It's really hard to make up for a dirty lens later. One of the best things that you can develop as you're developing as a photographer is to learn about perspective and how things change as you move around. So it's really important when you start out to start shooting not just at head height, but maybe move up, and move down, because moving around can really change how effective your pictures are. The fourth thing is, and I'm really preaching to myself here, is to be careful with your kit. Now, I am a little bit of a klutz, and I tend to get excited when I'm out making photographs, and I sort of throw kit around and I drop it and I move it, and I don't set my tripod up securely, and all of those things can lead to the most desperate thing, which is you lose your kit, it drops into the sea, it falls over off your tripod and it breaks. And you've invested so much money in your kit, you must try and keep it safe. And it's something that I keep on trying to tell myself so that I can look after my kit every time I go out. Take a few more seconds for every setup so that the tripod is secure, the camera is secured on the tripod, and everything is set before I start snapping off pictures. Remember, if you put your bag down, have you put it somewhere that A, somebody might pick it up and walk off with it, or B, that if you're in a place where the tide is changing, whether it's going to be taken over by the tide. So I arrived here before sunrise, and I've taken some pictures. I'm a bit disappointed that the high tide didn't really isolate these huts, but I'll come back another time and hope that I can get that picture, can get those shots. But now I've learnt what this little site, this little location looks like, and what the opportunities and challenges are. So I'll come back another time. Here are the pictures that I took. something that I find really useful in my photography is making each trip a mini adventure. And what I mean by that is either thinking about going to a new location and making it a bit of an adventure because I've never been there before, and here I've driven an hour and a half in the dark to get here because it's a new location and I'm excited about being here. If it's a location you've been to before or you're very familiar with, try and challenge yourself. I do these one lens, one body, one film simulation challenges for myself so that I get good on each particular lens that I have. So each time you go out, focus on one element of your photography, be it how to use a particular lens, how to shoot moving water, how to shoot moving cars, how to shoot, in this case, beach huts, so that the perspective looks good and you really present them as well as possible. Make each photography visit a challenge, an opportunity, and a mini adventure. The next thing is feedback. When you're just starting out, you should be really critical of your own work. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is looking at your pictures like they're one of your friends or somebody that you don't know, somebody that you feel a little bit separated from, because it's really hard to step back from your own photographs and say whether they're good or not. And if you can't do that, ask one of your friends. Look, say I'm just starting out with photography. What's good in this picture and what's not so good in this picture? What could I have done differently? When you start thinking about your photographs in a fairly neutral way, and you start thinking about what did I do well, what didn't I do well, it helps you to sort of bring that into your thinking for the next time that you go out. Otherwise, you're going to keep on going out and your pictures are going to be a bit hit and miss. You'll certainly get some good pictures, some great pictures, but you may not know why. So the more time you spend analysing what works for your photographs and what doesn't really pays off in the long term. Above everything else, the most important thing is that you've started a really great hobby, and if you get pleasure out of it, if you enjoy what you're doing, if you like the sort of pictures you're getting, just enjoy it. The more photographs that you take, the better you'll get at it, and just enjoy it. Share your work. Try and find a little community of people who can criticise and give feedback on your work, and you can do the same with them. And together as a group, you'll improve your photography. If for no other reason that you just enjoy getting out, being outside maybe with your camera and capturing the things that you see as a memory for the times that you are out. It's just a really fantastic hobby. So enjoy it. Have a great time, and I hope to see you on the next video. And if you've enjoyed this one, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe think about subscribing. And until the next one, thanks for watching and bye for now.